everyone. You're listening to the Sailing to Success podcast show, where we share practical tips and strategies to help you be more productive, boost your profits, and grow your business. I'm Lindsay Phillips, founder of Smooth Sailing Business Growth, and I'll be your host and captain for this 30-minute excursion. Today, we'll be chatting with quiz master Josh Hainum of tryinteract.com, and we talk about why businesses should use quizzes in their marketing, the do's and don'ts, and how to really leverage them and optimize them to boost your success. So let's get started, folks. Hey folks, so I know we've all seen those quizzes on Facebook, and I'm sure many of you have been pulled into them and have done them online. We're all brilliant, and we're all, those quizzes are hilarious, but we are interested in quizzes, right? So today we're going to be talking all about quizzes. I'm super stoked about this. We're going to be talking to Josh Hainum. He's the co-founder of Interact Quiz Builder. It's a tool used by more than 30,000 businesses, including the American Red Cross, Tony Robbins, and Forbes. And I saw even the Toronto Humane Society, which I thought was cool because, of course, I'm a Canadian. And yeah, a lot of different companies that I wasn't really anticipating. And he's probably seen more quizzes than any other human on earth right now. So he is the expert to chat to for sure. So thank you so much, Josh, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
And we were talking, a little bit before we went live here, and it's so true. We all think of quizzes, Facebook, and they're fun, and people like to know about themselves and what have you. But but they can be used on a professional level to capitalize on that, whatever people are attracted to it for. So why don't you kind of dive into why quizzes are so hot for entrepreneurs and marketing these days?
Yeah, definitely. So really the thing that makes a quiz so powerful, and the reason why these things are everywhere right now, right? And you can't avoid them if you're on Facebook.
No.
Right? It's like everybody's posting what kind of Starbucks drink they are. It's like, it's crazy. It's hilarious. It's awesome. But the reason that that's so appealing to people is that there's really two parts to it. The number one thing is that we all just love to learn about ourselves. There's this entire industry, right, around self-help, self-learning, introspection, all that kind of stuff, right? There's books, there's speakers, there's all these people. And that is so powerful because we just really, really want to know more about who we are. Like, it might seem silly, right? Like what kind of coffee drink you are, or what kind of shrimp you are, or whatever. But at the same time, it's so appealing because we just love that feedback about, our own person.
Yeah. Or validating, what kind of person we are, validating that we're smart or we're kind or whatever it is. Exactly.
Yeah. And there's actually, there's psychological stuff behind it where that validation, that feedback makes us feel good. It gives us, kind of a little rush in terms of just feeling good about ourselves. So that's the number one thing. The number two thing is that a quiz allows you to express yourself. It allows you to talk about yourself by answering questions. And oftentimes quiz questions are quite personal. They'll ask you things like your preferences and what you like, what you don't like, what kind of personality you have, stuff that's like, it's pretty personal and
very unique to you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And we also love talking about ourselves. There's a study by Time Inc., the parent company of Time and a lot of other companies now. And they found that 40% of the words that we say in our life are about ourselves. So 4 out of every 10 words we say, and we say a lot of words in our lifetime. So that's a lot of talking about yourself. And the reason we do that is that, again, it actually releases, to get a little psychological, like pheromones in your brain are actually the same thing that are released when you take drugs. So it's like a small release of like dopamine, essentially, in your brain. You get a natural high from talking about yourself because, we like to feel cared for. We like to feel, like we're important, like somebody is interested in what we have to say. And a quiz, while again, that might seem like a stretch, it's the closest thing we have to a conversation online where somebody is asking you about yourself.
Yeah. Oh, and I've thought of it that way.
Yeah, and it's crazy. And marketing in general, right? Like we're all marketers, entrepreneurs. When we're trying to connect with somebody, it's usually like us saying something and then listening. But a quiz is the first time you're really able to ask somebody a question, start a conversation, like have interaction back and forth. It's scripted, but like it's still the closest thing we have. So those two things are really what makes quizzes. If you get down to like the nitty gritty of it, that's why we have this obsession with quizzes, and we always have. Even before the internet, it was magazines. Before that, it was people in pubs, like doing these quizzes, and it's been around for
oh god, for sure.
So yeah, it's got that just very personal appeal, and that's why they are just so popular.
So how are they used in marketing? Like, are there specific industries or anybody can do them? Like I'd like you to kind of explain, like, what is the end? Why would a business use a quiz? What is the end goal? What is the purpose? Or the applications of how they can be used?
Exactly. Yeah. And there's really a top three, and the top three go in this order. Number one is growing your email list.
Right.
So when you set up a quiz, you can ask for somebody's email after they've answered all the questions, but before their personality is revealed. So you've got their full attention at that point. They've answered like 7, maybe 10 questions. They are really invested in this. And now you're saying, enter your email and we'll send you a follow-up based on your personality type, which is, why would you not do that? And we actually see an average 50% opt-in rate, which,
that's high. Yeah.
But it is absurdly high. Like that doesn't happen with anything, but because you have that personal connection, it changes the game. You're not just asking for an email for, whatever reason, or to get more information, whatever. You're going to send them something that's personal to them. So that's the number one thing is building up an email list, and everybody knows the ROI of, email marketing.
Yeah.
The latest studies are like 43x, right? Like every dollar you spend sending emails, you make 43 back. So getting those emails is really valuable. And that's the number one thing. The number two thing is selling products. So you can actually utilize what we like about seeing our personality type, seeing our outcome, to sell products. So it'll be like, based on your outcome, this is the right product for you.
Oh, right. I've seen that tons.
Exactly.
And it's funny, I don't think of those as quizzes, but they are.
Right. And it's like, we did one with Gap, and it was like, it was kind of punny. It was, which swim suits you? Trying to be funny. But at the end, they had a link to the swim that suits you. That's not the right way to say it, but
yeah,
the swimsuit that was recommended, there's a link to it. You can buy it. And we have our own internal metrics on that, because we've had 30,000 quizzes made, millions and millions of quiz takers. And we found that those personalized product recommendations convert 230% better than generic product recommendations.
Wow, that's impressive. And you see that a lot in the cosmetic industry, like which hair product, which foundation, whatever is best for your skin type, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That would totally. And plus it's like, you don't have to go to a store, ask someone questions, try, figure it out yourself. It's like, it's so convenient and it's customized to you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of recreating that experience of, walking up to the cosmetics counter and, talking about your preferences, and then you get a recommendation. It's the same thing, but it's online. So that's why it works so well for just driving sales, again, like 230% higher than
crazy. Yeah.
recommending generic products. So that's number two. And then number three is just growing your social presence. So again, we have an internal metric that 10% of people who take quizzes end up sharing their results, which is...
Oh, that's so true.
It's crazy. That's like, what content gets shared by 10% of people? Like, it's insane. So, growing your Facebook presence, your Twitter presence, your Instagram, your Pinterest, like all these social networks, you can grow them using quizzes. So that's kind of the trifecta of what makes these quizzes so powerful. And, if you tie that back to again, they're naturally popular. They have this appeal that's on a human level, and that's what draws people in. And then you've got these three ways through, list building, sales, and growing your social reach that tie it back to providing value to your business. It's just a win all around.
Yeah, that's totally, my brain is spinning on how my clients and how they can apply that.
Yeah. There's so much.
That's how I roll.
Yep.
Awesome. Now you kind of mentioned, about obviously, lead generation and getting the email. I've heard so many different stories, like, ask for the opt-in to take the quiz, or partway through, or they have to opt in to get the results, which honestly just ticks me right off when I'm on a quiz. And then, or just, to afterwards, just to get more information or a special report or whatever.
Yep.
Are there statistics on which approach is better?
Yeah. So the best is opt in to get the results, but you can skip it. So
okay.
It is after the last question where it asks you for your email, but there is a see my results after I opt in button and a skip button that are basically equal sized and very clear that you don't have to opt in. So it says skip and just see my results, right? So
okay,
that's where you have people's attention, their full attention. They've answered the questions, they're actually paying attention. And if you think about how hard it is to capture somebody's full attention at this point online, that's huge. That alone is like a massive win, right? So
they've invested emotion and time into it after they've answered so many questions.
Exactly. So that's what we find. And when you do that, roughly half will skip and half will opt in. Mm-hmm. So you're not making people angry by forcing them to opt in.
Right.
And we never recommend forcing anybody to opt into anything, but you are, taking full advantage of the fact that they are fully engaged at that point. So doing it that way yields 100% more opt-ins than doing it at the beginning. So if you were going to get 50, now you get 100, because again, once somebody's actually invested in the quiz, they're much more likely to opt in. If you make them opt in order to start it, some people will, but the value is not clear at that point.
Right.
And you haven't done your part of being like, okay, this is a good quiz. Like there's questions that you actually care about, all that kind of stuff. So you kind of have to do your part first, and then you can ask them for something in return. So that's easily the highest converting. And then asking for the opt-in after you show the results is abysmally converting. Like it's maybe 20% as much as asking before the results, because at that point, they're just interested in reading their outcome. They're not
true.
They're not really looking for anything else. So that's what we recommend, is before the results, but leave it clearly optional.
Okay. That's good advice. And and we'll talk a little bit more in depth of, Interact system, what have you, but mm-hmm. Are you able to segment your lists, so to speak, based on the answers, so that that they would be pooled towards a specific content or specific product? Are you able to segment?
Yeah, absolutely. So for example, if you want to put people onto different sequences or different lists based on, their quiz personality type, you can do that. If you actually want to, based on how they answer one particular question, mm-hmm. you can do that as well.
Okay.
Like, so for example, if you're a style brand and you ask somebody for their favorite color, you could send them like all the pink options in an email because they answered pink.
Right.
And, at that point, you're getting into transactional email, and transactional email, all the statistics on that. Transactional email basically being, if somebody tells you something, you're sending an email in response to that, rather than just like sending them an email. Transactional email, the conversion rates are like 2 to 3x in terms of click-throughs, purchases, all that kind of stuff. So you're giving them stuff that they asked for.
True.
Is amazing. So you can send it based on their personality type or based on how they answer a particular question, which is super powerful.
That's awesome. So I know this is more of a logistical question, but it just seems like the right time to ask. Can I assume then that your system integrates with Infusionsoft and maybe ActiveCampaign and some other systems?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think we have 18 native integrations
Holy.
and then Zapier and webhooks as well. So yeah, everybody, Infusionsoft, ActiveCampaign, Drip, ConvertKit, Eloqua, even, all the big ones, the small,
Yeah.
everything in between. So yeah, literally everything.
Yeah, because and it's like people, what I love about it is, quizzes, if you word them correctly, it doesn't feel like a survey per se, because people don't always take surveys, but it helps you tap into the minds of your prospects and what it is that they're thinking and what it is that they want, which will help you market them better through your email campaigns.
Exactly. Yeah. And, a quiz gets you all the same data that a survey will.
Yeah.
And you're right. You don't have to force somebody or entice somebody rather to take a quiz. Like they will, because of what we talked about at the beginning, how it's so appealing, right? But you're answering questions that are survey questions,
Yes.
like, color preferences, style preferences,
Yeah.
like, how big is your business? How big is your email list? Like stuff like that, right? You're answering all this really, really pertinent data that you can use to inform not only your email marketing, but your content marketing, all of the initiatives. It's like, if you know everything about your customers, it's so much easier to sell to them, right? Like it's so much easier to connect with what they're actually looking for. And they're just telling you, you don't have to run a survey. You don't have to be like, hey, can you please fill us out? It's like, no, they want to. And at the same time, you're getting all this super valuable data. So it's massively powerful in that way.
Totally. It's like gold.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, I'm like, okay, quizzes are fun and you sort of have a, predisposed surveys are not, they're boring, and quizzes are fun.
Yep.
But it's like, so as an entrepreneur or business, like how do you find that fine line on matching your branding and being professional and getting the data that you want, but making it fun? I mean, I imagine it's quite the balancing act of like how to make that happen.
Yeah. So there's a way to make it a lot easier. And basically what you do is you have to think about writing quiz questions as if you were literally sitting across from the person taking the quiz.
Right.
And we actually tell people, like, think of somebody that should take your quiz. Like, think of somebody that you would email this quiz to when you're done to ask them for feedback, right?
Yeah.
Think about them sitting across the table from you. Like, most of us work at desks or tables. Like, think about them sitting there. How would you ask the questions if they were sitting there, right? So, maybe you would ask like, okay, how many people do you currently have on your email list? What's the most effective marketing strategy for you guys right now? What's your biggest challenge? Like, what are you struggling with the most in your business right now? Things like that, right? And that's how you would ask it if you were actually talking to somebody. What people often do is they get too serious about it and they make those questions not worded personally. They make them kind of mass and,
like copywritten to perfection kind of a thing.
Yeah. And your answer choices are like, oh yeah, always, sometimes, never. And it's like, nobody talks like that. That's not how people actually speak. So if you imagine that somebody is actually sitting there, and then we like to throw one in where it's like, you've also had like at least one beer, because then you're a little less likely to be too formal. It's like,
that's hilarious.
You're a little more fun. Like, it's funny because we make that recommendation to people and they'll actually go do it. Like, their team will be like, oh yeah, we went to happy hour and then wrote our quiz. Awesome.
That's awesome.
Way to go. So yeah, I mean, that's really how you want to think about it, is like, just think of it like somebody is actually sitting there and you're asking these questions. It's going to keep you grounded in terms of like not being too formal. And you're still going to want to collect the right information, right? Yeah. Because you want to know these things. But if you just imagine that they're there, it's going to keep you on the right track.
Yeah. And it seems like, the quiz questions that I've seen, and then there's 4 different options. It's not like, I was just looking at one that I think it asked you how cluttery you are. And it's like, they were comical, like the answers. It wasn't just, oh, my place is a mess, or oh, I have things laying around everywhere. Like they were quirky little funny, answers that you choose from. I mean, not everyone's branding fits that, but I guess your point is just to kind of keep it light and conversational.
Yeah. And I mean, you're right. Like you want to stay on brand in terms of, you don't want to go too far off script, but at the same time, like you do want it to be more fun. And, quizzes are very entertaining in general. Yeah. So if you can kind of keep it a little more lighthearted, and the answer choices are, the answer choices should be like how somebody would actually say them as well. Right. It's like, you don't speak in one word answers, right? Like, unless you're like super awkward or whatever, but it's like you answer questions in context, like
right
in real life, right? So that's how the quiz should be worded as well, because then it feels like a conversation.
That's
it
right.
feels like you're sitting there across the table from somebody having this conversation.
That's a good point. Now I've seen some quizzes that are like true and false, yes and no, multiple choice, some that are just text, and some that have like pictures with the answers. Is there a type that's better than another?
Yeah. So the optimal type is a text question. So just plain words.
Yeah.
And then each answer choice is an image.
Oh,
and
okay.
There's also text accompanying those images usually, but we process images so much faster in our brains than words. So you want the question to be words, because then it's like, okay, you have to, you want people to stop and think about the question. But the answer choice, you want them to be able to just scan and say, oh, that image that represents my type, that represents what I feel. And that way you're able to let people go through it quicker, and they don't get stuck thinking about like how they want to answer stuff.
Yeah. That makes sense. And is there a rule on like, so if you do have the multiple choices, like how many multiple choices to give them, or even like how many questions for a quiz is too much?
Yeah. So questions for a quiz, the optimal number is 7, and 7 questions, if you have 4 to 6 answer choices per question, which is what we recommend, will take about 2 minutes to complete, which is the optimal time where people will get really involved with it. Like they're going to care after 2 minutes, but it's not so long that they'll get bored and start leaving. Every question you add after 2 minutes, a certain percent will drop off, because it's just like, okay, well, this is too many questions. So you want to keep it right at 7 with text question, 4 to 6 image answer choices.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. It's nice to have that framework of what the right thing to do is. So what other, are there big mistakes that people do because everyone wants to learn from other people's mistakes. What are some of the big don'ts if you're building a quiz for your company?
Yeah, I think there's one big mistake that is 2 mistakes at once. And basically what happens is, when you're going to create a quiz and you're trying to come up with what you want it to be about, there are 2 traps people fall into. And the first one is being too dry. And so, for example, if you're a marketing consultant, let's say, and you make a quiz that's titled, "Do you need a marketing consultant?" Like, no one cares, and they're very put off by the fact that it's obviously a ploy to try to reach your services, right? That's too serious. It's too close to what you're doing. Now, on the other hand, the second mistake, if you're a Milton and you make a, which Game of Thrones character are you, which is a great quiz, but like it has nothing to do with your marketing consultancy. You might get people to take that one, but if you pitch at the end, like, oh yeah, like sign up for my services, no one's going to. You'll get a 0
correlation.
Yeah. So what you do instead is you take this template of the which blank are you, or what type of blank are you? Because remember, the reason that people take quizzes is to find out what type of thing they are. Right? You want it to be in that type, but then you tie it back to your business. So for a marketing consultant, you could do, what's your marketing personality? You could do, what's your brand voice style? you could do, what type of business owner are you, if you're, targeting small business owners. And all of those quizzes have that type, that template of, which of these are you, which blank are you, what kind of thing are you. So you're learning about yourself, but the tie into your business is so direct. Like if you do, what type of small business owner are you, you can say, hey, enter your email and I can send you tips on how to improve based on your type, right? Which you can do as a marketing consultant. That's information you have readily available. And then at the end, you can say, hey, like check out, more resources for the entrepreneurial business owner, or the managerial business owner, or the creative business owner, right? And you can link directly to those. So you have all these tie-ins naturally to your business, but the topic of the quiz is still in line with what appeals to people. So you have to do both. You can't go too far on one side or the other. Either way won't work. You want to be in the middle where you're matching these two things up.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And sometimes that really helps direct people, I think, of where to start, because that's the hardest part. So how does Interact work? Like, are there templates? Kind of explain your system.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're totally right that is the hardest part, and we recognize that. And, it was frustrating for a while because we would talk with literally the world's leading marketers, like Forbes list of like most influential marketers. We have a lot of them that are our customers, and I would talk to them and it'd be like, oh my gosh, they would tell me it took 2 or 3 weeks to formulate their quiz. And I was like, man, if it takes them that long, then like if I was just getting started with this, how long would it take me? Like, holy crap, that's like such a long like effort. That's a lot of time. So what we did is we went and we scoured our internal database, ran a bunch of stuff in Excel to figure out which quizzes were performing the best in every single vertical.
Yeah.
So business, style, fashion, beauty, everything. We have 60 verticals. And within those 60 verticals, we have created templates, which are already made quizzes for every single vertical. So when you sign up with us, you can select your vertical, or you can select multiple if you want to kind of see what works in different industries. And then out of all the ones you select, you can sort them by conversion rate. So I want the top performing business quiz. Boom, load that in. Once you grab that template, you can modify everything or nothing or anything in the middle. So you could change 4 of the questions and leave the other 3 the same. You could change out of the questions and just connect your email list and launch it. You could just add links to your products at the end and launch it. Whatever you want to do, however much you want to change it. But you don't have to think about what type of quiz to make. You don't have to think about how to write the questions.
Right.
You don't have to think about how to write the results. And obviously it's good to kind of have that background, but if you don't want to, or, it's just too much time, which, we found it was for most people, like even people that are very well versed in marketing, this is a struggle. So we built our entire platform to do all that for you. And then you can change it if you want to, but by default, you don't have to.
Awesome. And yeah, it's nice having those guidelines to kind of direct you in the right, space.
Yeah, exactly.
So here's a question. Does this integrate with, is it like a WordPress plugin, or like, do you do it on like within the system online?
Yeah. So you build it within our system. We do have a WordPress plugin, so you can launch it onto your WordPress site as a plugin. It'll create a shortcode.
Yeah.
And then we haven't struck to embed it on any other website. It spits out an iframe, so it's the same thing as a YouTube video. You can put that anywhere. So everything is done within our system, and it's our system is kind of like a cross between like WordPress and Photoshop. So but for making quizzes. So you can create a quiz, you can modify the styles all within one platform, and it's all there's a menu that makes it really easy to kind of see how everything works. So that's the platform, and then when you're ready to launch, you publish it, and it gives you the embed code you can put anywhere, and direct links and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. That sounds great. And I love how you have live examples on the website, because that's super helpful to see it like live, like how it works. Because that's the hard part, right? Like you have a hard time envisioning it, and quizzes are a very visual thing.
Yeah, very, very visual.
Now, before we go, I just want to ask you, I don't know if it's going to be a quick question or not, but how are polls different?
Yeah, so a poll is a newer feature that we have, and polls are, where you can vote on things and then it'll show you the results afterwards. So, for example, there was a great one that was done this morning. I think it was like, what's your biggest struggle in your business right now?
Mm-hmm.
And it had all these options like, sales, marketing, product development, connecting with the right people, those types of things. And then once you vote, it does give you an option to opt in, kind of like a quiz. So it's like, want help with the one you chose,
Right.
enter your email and we'll send you some tips on that. And you can always skip it as usual. And then it'll show you, okay, this percentage of people said sales, this percentage of people said marketing. And then you can add a link there as well to like check out more information. So it's really like a feedback thing. And you can kind of see how you compare to other people, like your biggest struggle versus everybody else's. And you can build all that in the same platform. So once you learn our platform, you can do quizzes and polls and also giveaways. So you can do it all in the same place.
And the polls are shareable on social media?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're built for that, I'm assuming?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, people just have to check it out themselves. Just the live examples and the demos and everything. It's perfect. So why don't you let people know how to find the information on it?
Yeah, definitely. So the URL of the website is tryinteract.com. So TRYinteract.com. And you can actually get started totally free. Like it's actually free. And then, there's some upgraded features in there, but you can use it for free. And, you'll walk through that whole process that we were talking through where you select the template and modify it and launch it and all that good stuff. So that's the URL of the site. If you want to dig into more of the background on how everything works, the psychology, that kind of stuff, like some really, really detailed stuff, we have a blog that's at tryinteract.com/blog. And those articles are really in depth and kind of go into the background of everything. So you can check that out as well.
That's perfect. And I do want to point out, because we didn't actually touch on this, is that it does have like conversion tracking, real-time analytics. Because I mean, like every other element of online marketing, if you don't track it, you don't know how to continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So everything's tracked, every single data point. You can see there's time series data. So you can see how it's performing over time, how people are answering questions over time, all that kind of stuff is all available in nice graph format that's really easy to read.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know I'm going to be sharing this with a couple of my clients because I mean, just leveraging the use of quizzes, it can make such a huge difference in your lead conversions and your sales and your email marketing. It will have such a big impact.
Yeah, it really does. There's some astronomical examples, and on average, it's just performing so well. So yeah, it's really, really exciting to see how it's kind of changing the game for marketing right now.
Yeah, good for you guys. It's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So that is it today, folks, for this episode of Sailing to Success podcast show. You, of course, can find this episode, my videos and blogs at smoothbusinessgrowth.com. And if you are looking for more help on attracting and acquiring more customers faster through powerful content marketing, again, go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com. So have a profitable and productive week, folks, and may the wins always be at your back.